All right, guys, we're currently 4 episodes deep into Index, believe it or not, because obviously early access on Twitch and Patreon. But here is the fascinating world of Index / Railgun and why you should watch it. Give it to us, young Gigguk. Oh my god, he looks so much younger here without the facial hair.
Why do you like Index? Why are you hyped for Index? Because here's my opinion.
This is, I guess, 5 years ago. August 28th, he's watching a video called Toru Majutsu no Index Season 3 PV. Wait. Isn't Season 3 where everything got fucked up? Like, I hear that Season 1 is actually pretty good. Season 1 and 2 is actually pretty decent. And then Season 3 was like the worst adaptation of all time. And Gigguk right now is watching a trailer for Index 3 and then hyping it up. Oh, I mean, obviously, you're not going to have the hindsight, right? It's easy to say this shit in the year 2024, right? I'm sure Gigguk is trying to, you know, give some support and love to a beloved show, but oh, that's funny that this is for season 3 PV, bro.
I don't get it. It's not bad. It's just really mediocre. And that's my opinion on Index. It's
not bad. It's just mid. You heard it first. Index is just fucking mid. Right now, I'm 4 episodes deep. Right now, I feel like Index right now to me is like a 7 point something out of 10. I don't think it's in the realm of the 8s just yet. I want it to be though. I want it to be amazing. I am pretty immersed with the story, the whole, you know, battle between science and magic, and now we learned about what Index really is and what's going on with the memory wipe and new characters being brought in. We're still way into the early game, right? I'm sure when Accelerated shows up, that guy with the, you know, the white hair, I'm gonna start popping off. But what's going on?
This was me, literally a month ago, reacting to the new Index Season 3 trailer as I was streaming my impressions of the full season chart. See, the whole Index, Railgun, Toaru, whatever you want to call it franchise has always been somewhat of a mystery for me.
It's the Toaru franchise, right? Toaru no Railgun, Toaru no Index, and then there's Accelerator, right?
From my perspective, it always looked like your typical generic high school fantasy action light novel that has been done a million different times nowadays, and any attempt
we've seen, hold up,
high school fantasy action light novel that has been done a million.
We've seen your regular Magic High School. Season 1 is peak. Season 1 is like an 8.5 out of 10 in my opinion. This shit is fucking amazing. Season 2, Season 3 does not exist in my head.
Million different.
I don't think we've watched this, but we've seen Chivalry of a Failed Knight. Is the one right next? This is Asterisk War, right? Yeah, I hear that this is pretty similar, but we didn't get a chance to check out Asterisk War just yet. I've seen Chivalry of a Failed Knight. It was pretty fun. And this one, I have no clue. This looks like a pretty old anime, judging by the art style here.
Nowadays, and any attempts to watch the anime did nothing to prove me otherwise. Yet it's a franchise that had one of those fan bases that would praise it to high heavens. You know, one of those rabid fan bases that seems nigh on
basically Data Life franchise community. Huh? I don't know. Index, I hear, has a cult following. I don't know why it would have a cult following. Is it because of Index? Index is so cute. I just want to protect her so bad.
Obsessed with a franchise and would take any opportunity they had to spread the word of the Holy Gospel like they were recruiting for a new religious cult or something. So after 7 years of silence before a new season getting announced seemingly out of nowhere, I said, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to try to get to the bottom of why this franchise is so beloved by so many, despite by my accounts, it looking like a dated mid-2000s generic light novel.
It does. It does look very dated. I mean, season 1, I don't know where it came out, but it is a pretty old anime. But it doesn't matter how the anime looks. It's all about the overall like feeling I get when watching it. And so far, I'm enjoying Index Season 1 a lot.
Of a franchise that time should have left behind. And through that journey, I discovered a unique world that blends fantasy and science in a way I'd never seen before. A grand narrative that fits the bill for a shared universe I had been searching for an anime for so long. A power system so intriguing, it tested my knowledge of my university education.
The power system is very interesting because like immediately we're like, oh, we're in this academy city, right? There's 80% of the population are actually students that are basically have these talents that they're trying to like enhance, right? They're espers. But then there's also the existence of magic, right? And espers and magic, totally separate thing, where people who use magic are people who didn't have that talent or that esper ability. And then there's Toma, who is like level 0, and there's a level system on top of that too. Misaka fucking railguns us immediately. She says that she's level 5. We're like, what, level 0? Yet we have this hand of the devil, right hand of the devil that I call it, because it just cancels out everything, even divine miracle concepts and shit like this. This show, it's looking like if I didn't do the research in the light novel, which I still haven't, I'm just barely getting by with the chat kind of explaining like a high level concept. It's a very sweaty show. It's a bit, and I appreciate that. I like it when it's more sweaty and there's like an in-depth system for me to appreciate the depth of the power system.
Education that before I knew it, something happened. I became a fan. Index has become my newest obsession.
The openings are so good. The openings for Index, oh, Railgun too. They are all so good.
And sometimes there's nothing quite like the feeling of completely losing yourself in the franchise, consuming every little thing it has to offer, researching the intricacies of the world mechanics, finding every little bit you can about the lore and background, and you do it because the deeper you go, the more rewarding the experience becomes as a whole. This franchise was exactly that for me.
Should I just get high as fuck tonight after my stream and read the Index wiki? Should I just straight up study up on what a church is, walking church? I probably shouldn't research on stuff like the grimoires, but like maybe I should do my own background research on all the different exposition and jargon so I understand what the hell is going on without being spoiled of the actual plot. I think I should do that.
Of the world mechanics, finding every little bit you can about the lore and background, and you do it because the deeper you go.
How do I can't do it after the anime though. If I do it after the anime, that defeats the purpose. I want the reactions to be better. And if I know better of the terms that I don't know about, or the term that's been mentioned but I have no clue about, I can start theory crafting the deeper level, right? That's why the ReZero content, people seem to like it a lot, because I'm very sweaty with that. I've done my homework. We do a lot of cut content analysis, right? I just need to be able to consume this background information on the wiki without being spoiled, so we'll see about that.
The more rewarding the experience becomes as a whole. This franchise was exactly that for me, so today I wanted to share some of the reasoning why I got so sucked in to the world of Index. Now before I get started, I wanted to give a quick shout out to Bookwalker who are doing...
I don't think this ad is still available 5 years ago, so it is what it is.
...through its mainline anime series and local Index, so I'm sure it's been 7 years. Because I understand this. Details are coming at the end of this video if you feel like having a dabble in the franchise.
Oh, okay, this is a quick ad. I thought he was doing a whole ad section right now, but he's doing a little flag and then there'll be more ad at the very end.
Because I understand that as big as Index was in its heyday, it's been 7 years since its last anime adaptation, so I'm sure there are many of you now who have not even heard of the franchise, so here's a bit of background. A Certain Magical Index is a light novel series that started in 2004 and has since spawned a grand franchise sporting multiple anime adaptations, spin-offs in mangas and anime forms, and lots and lots.
And the spin-offs are more popular. It seems like people literally just love Railgun and Accelerator more than Index. They fucking hate Index, probably because season 3 adaptation, and they just like say Railgun is the best thing they've ever seen.
Forms and lots and lots and lots of light novels. Many people are familiar with the franchise through its mainline anime series, A Certain Magical Index.
That's pretty good. Season 2 got a 7.78 rating on my anime list. That's pretty hype.
Certain Magical Index, in which we mainly follow a spiky-haired protagonist, Toma Kamijo, on his adventures of fighting magicians, picking up chicks and solving literally every problem by punching it in the face. But arguably equally as popular is its spin-off series, A Certain Railgun, which focuses on the adventures of Mikoto Misaka, a powerful esper with the ability to control electricity, shrug off teleporting lesbians, and is basically Pikachu as a tsundere anime girl. From that brief description, it may be...
So far, Mikasa sucks. I'm sorry, guys. Misaka is a hot-headed, aggro bitch that just like attacked Toma for no reason, then got even more mad because we defended ourselves. That's it. By episode 4, season 1, Misaka sucks. And you want to argue with me because you know the Misaka in the future that's better? Well, you're fucking retarded and you're a child that doesn't know how to fucking remove yourself from your preconceived notions of the idealized version of your fucking favorite character versus what I'm objectively watching in the anime so far. Episode 4 in, Misaka sucks.
It'd be hard to see the appeal of Index because that's what it looks like from the outside, and to say the franchise is a bit daunting is kind of an understatement at this point.
Misaka sucks, but Index is such an angel. Index is just, oh, poor Index.
But from my personal experience, through all the confusion about the sheer scope, explanations about chronology, read and watch order, I never really saw anything to explain to me what the core appeal of Index was and why it's amassed such a loyal fan base. So that's what I'm going to try and do today. And I think a good place to start, instead of explaining specific plot details, is to start explaining what Index is as a concept.
What is Index as a concept? Well, she is a perfect memorization vessel that has the 103,000 information of the grimoire, which is basically the nuclear launch code, right?
Index is set in a world very reminiscent of the one we're in right now, except both.
Oh, he's talking about the fucking anime. I thought we were talking about the girl.
Both magic and science play a massive part in it. You have the world of magic, which has its roots in faith and religion that can be traced back through various myths and legends, and has shaped a lot of the world's history through secret organizations and practices. This is where you see a lot of the traditional fantasy elements, with mages and magicians drawing their powers through spells and magic, and it finds its basis through a lot of real-life lore we can find in this world. However, you also have the world of science, as the main setting is the modern sci-fi world of Academy City. Here you have a city that's advanced to be 30 years ahead technology-wise to what we have today, and it's full of people who have
That's the interesting thing about this place, is that it seems like we're just like a separate city that's so high-tech while everyone else isn't, right? It seems like we're the only espers in the world, while magic users like that are predominantly in like England or something, right? There was a mentions of that during when we're talking about the necessary Church of Evil.
Gained supernatural power through the practices of science and experimentation. And while both these worlds are normally kept separate, they are in conflict with each other, both vying to be the dominant power to—
That's hype. So right now we're still stuck doing character introduction, trying to figure out what the core roster of the show is going to be for season 1. But then we're going to go expand beyond Academy City, right? What lies beyond the horizon? The world is expanding.
Shape the world of Index, which serves as the basis for the various stories told in this setting. And it's really hard to get this perspective from the beginning. This is where a lot of the confusion about what the franchise is about lies. Many people, myself included, were only really exposed through the plot synopsis of the opening arc. Something about it—
This scene was so mindfuck to me, bro. Sensei and Index in Johan's pen autopilot mode trying to heal, you know, Index by summoning an angel. But bro, the amount of random terminology, the jargon, the buzzwords that I need to fucking understand, well, you don't need to know to understand what's going on, but like, fuck, I feel like I'm missing out a lot because like I don't understand the show, so I need to read the fucking wiki.
Synopsis of the opening arc. Something about a generic spiky-haired boy whose right hand has the power to cancel out any magic or supernatural ability, hashtag a week into No Nut November, running into some lolly nun that has a load of magic books in her head who's getting chased by this mysterious magical organization with your usual trashy power fantasy stuff. And while this is technically what happens, it's not an act—
Literally what we just watched, episode 4, right? Kanzaki versus Toma, and the realization that Index has 85% memory space for the grimoires and 50% gets constantly wiped, and how, you know, Style and, you know, Kanzaki, they're the ones actually suffering because they got to keep erasing Index's memories away.
Accurate representation of the franchise at all. Despite its name, Index is not actually about Index, the lolly nun character, nor is it really about Toma, despite him getting most of the screen time. A better way to describe this series from a broader perspective is that it's like a shared universe with many moving parts having more in common with things like Game of Thrones or the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
You comparing this to Game of Thrones? Continue.
Think of every story arc as a different movie in the MCU. Each arc is a self-contained story that adds a new element or cast of characters to the world, whether they focus exclusively on the science side of things or the magic side of things, and occasionally you get bigger crossover events that involve every party, where you get to see the normally separate cast and elements come together.
I thought that Index is basically the driving factor of the show because of the knowledge of the 103,000 grimoires, and other factions are going to want to pursue her, and Toma is going to be wrapped up in different type of problems of different organizations and factions attacking us, and us inevitably expanding the world because Index, again, is the driving force. Doesn't that make sense? It sounds like Index and Toma doesn't matter and everything else around the world matters. Sounds like the subplot that we're getting with the Index shit right now, it does not matter at all. I thought that other people would be pursuing Index because of her knowledge.
Because of this structure, you can have multiple storylines running in parallel, and sometimes you get to see the same events happen but from different characters' perspectives, and while not—
Gigguk ain't that informed about Index, just watch Aeons of Horus vids next for more in-depth knowledge. Here's the thing you don't understand about content creation. It doesn't matter if Gigguk isn't that informed. His simple name presence in the thumbnail is enough for people to click on the video and watch. No one knows who the fuck Aeon of Horus really is in the grand scale of things. It's just chasing views, chasing numbers. I'm sorry. This is how it works in show business. It's an unfortunate reality.
Every story arc is essential to follow along with the grander narrative. They all add something to the canon of this shared universe. So while all the different series stretched across multiple mediums may look confusing and daunting, what it really means is that there are multiple ways to get into this franchise. You can start with Index, or you can even start with Railgun if you so.
I'm not completely sure what we're gonna do because there is a different set of watch orders that I've been provided. And I don't think it's in my best interest to just watch Index seasons 1 to 3 immediately. I feel like the other watch order of, you know, Index season 1 into Railgun, couple seasons or something, into Index 2, right? There is an actual watch order that like makes sense to make the other seasons make more sense. I think that might be the way to do it. We'll see about that.
Please. You can read the light novels for some arc, then switch to the manga, then switch to the anime, or vice versa. It doesn't really matter how you choose to consume it because the universe that you'll take place in stays coherent. The only difference is that the light novels may go more in depth in the intricacies of the world and their systems. This is why I hazard to call Railgun a spin-off, because while technically the events aren't as important to the main narrative in the same way that, for example, Black Panther doesn't move forward the grander Infinity Stones plotline of the MCU, it's a great story and serves to give the viewer
I see. For the end goal of the game, that these side stories does add extra content. So if the main story is Index, then Railgun stuff will only enhance the Index experience.
Better understanding of the characters and why they act the way they do in the main series. Index's core appeal stems from this expanded universe and how extensively it
yeah, like right now, why does that girl always call Misaka, you know, One-sama, right? There's this special bond between them. I bet if I watch Railgun, I could better understand why they're like that.
Blends in its science fiction and fantasy elements in a coherent world. I've made a video before expressing my desire to see some kind of shared universe in anime form, and I didn't realize at the time how closely Index fitted this bill, because for all you can say about the characters and protagonists that make up the world, as good or bad as the characters may be, they aren't individually what makes this franchise what it is. They aren't what drives its fan base to be as invested or obsessed as they are. It's the world, which is encompassed by its setting, Academy City. Academy City is a weird beast to tackle because while it's technically just a backdrop for all these story arcs taking place, I'd actually argue that it is the main character of the franchise, because while Toma may be the face and main protagonist of Index early on, as the world expands and more characters get introduced, Index becomes the story of Academy City itself.
Academy City is the real protagonist, bro.
It's the inhabitants of Academy City whose storylines we get to follow. It's Academy City that is the driving force for the grander conflict. It's Academy City which serves as the core thread that connects.
I mean, right now, we know nothing but Academy City other than 80% are students. There are these kids that have these talents that's, you know, trained. There's this council, apparently, right? Sensei kind of mentioned when we brought Index over that Sensei was like, Sensei will turn a blind eye, but usually you would have to report to this executive council of decision makers. It seems very mysterious right now. It looks like Academy City is really going to be important.
Connects all the numerous plot lines together. Even if events aren't happening there, it always exudes a constant presence and honestly seems like a really cool and unique place, which unfortunately the anime doesn't always do justice with its simple portrayal of fucking bad CG wind turbines.
Isn't that ruining immersive experience
everywhere? Because of the amount of strange different happenings revolving around this city, the series can take many forms and genres depending on the arc and character we're following. Sometimes it's a dark sci-fi involving horrific human experimentation. Sometimes it's a fantasy action exploring secret underground organizations.
Sounds like church versus magic.
Sometimes it's a fluffy high school slice of life.
Slice of life, yay!
All of those things. Admittedly, I found the story arcs that focus on science far more interesting than the ones that focus.
Alright, science better than magic confirmed by Gigguk.
On magic, but what made it all worth sticking through was when you were able to see all the various characters and plot lines converge. Some of my favorite moments were actually just seeing different characters from the various story arcs meeting for the first time and interacting with each other. There was a few.
That's gonna happen, bro? I don't mind about random out of context spoiler clips like this, but this is hilarious. That Index is like, I'm drinking soda pop hamburger. And Mr. Accelerator is like, what the fuck am I looking at? Look at the look in his face, bro. This is probably peak slice of life moment.
There was a few episodes in Index Season 2 that was purely dedicated to bullshit slice of life fluff involving all the cast members, and it was honestly some of my favorite episodes. The franchise rewards you for investing in the world as a whole. You'll have elements you like, you'll have elements you won't like.
Yeah, I think that slice of life elements, this is not specific to Index, but if you, and here's the thing, right? People like let's give ReZero season 3 episode 1 as an example, because that's the most, you know, trending thing happening right now as of recording. The slice of life elements in ReZero season 3 episode 1 was fascinating to me, and I fucking love it, because if you love the show, if you're truly immersed with the show, then even if the plot isn't moving forward, random bullshit happening, slice of life, quote unquote filler or OVA content, you're gonna love it even more because it further enhances the characterization, the depth of each character, right? It just makes the show so much better. And Index for the same thing too, right? All this quote-unquote bullshit that's happening that's not part of the plot, I think it is essential to the plot. It's necessary building blocks that makes the experience better. But again, the average consumer does not care nor has the patience for such a thing, and the average consumer will never be able to experience the show to its full potential because they're just fine with an average experience because they're average.
You'll have characters that bore you and characters that you absolutely love.
Booba.
Which, let's be honest, is going to be Accelerator.
Yeah.
Best boy. It's
Yeah.
the juxtaposition of all these different narrative elements you wouldn't normally see together put in one place that makes it so interesting. You not only have mages and espers, you have angels, alchemists, underground assassins.
Sick.
You got modern military SWAT teams fighting magical nuns and
I bet the SWAT team fucking sucks. I bet that guns don't do shit.
what I like is how much they try to ground it in our world, because every element, no matter how ridiculous, has a basis from our real world. Supernatural phenomenon that we may hear about here and there are given an explanation in
What the fuck is this gun?
given an
Bro, you see this shit? That's 3 guns in one.
explanation in Index with the rules that structure
Whoa!
hear about here and there are given an explanation in Index with
Holy fuck. It went from guns to knife.
the rules that structure that universe. And that's why this setting works. This attention to detail is something that's also mirrored in their power systems, which is the one other big unique thing this franchise has to offer.
Power system.
God damn, I love the power system in this franchise. Well, half of it anyway, because most noteworthy is that there are 2 entirely different systems that work in parallel. One for
Science and magic. Magic people, you don't have the talent for the espers, you rely on runes and different shit to use magic, then there's talent. For us, that's combination of like science and talent, right?
the magic side of things and one for the science side of things, and both have been given a lot of care to ground it in with elements we can find in our own world.
So far, by episode 4, it seems to me that magicians are frauds because they were not born with the god-given talents to do the esper shit that like Misaka can do. And I'm not convinced that what Toma's doing is science or magic. Maybe it's both, I'm not sure. But based on the exposition of what Index gave us on like magic and science, it just seems like magic is for like the unchosen ones. Who knows? Maybe magic gets better, right? But right now, episode 4, season 1, looks kind of sucky.
The magic system was a bit more confusing for me, but it makes sense in the lore because they are meant to be supernatural phenomena that cannot be explained or analyzed via any sort of scientific means and reasoning. So instead, the basis of magic in the Index universe comes from real-life mythology and lore you can find historically. From Christianity to Judaism to Norse and Egyptian mythology to Feng Shui, it all finds its roots through stories told through world history and religion.
Cool.
To give an example, someone like Jesus in the Index universe would have been a magic user. However, to me, the standout power system comes from the science side of things, and that's what I
Okay.
want to focus on, because
Gigguk was a magic user, guys. Wait, what did he say? Hold on, one more time.
Norse and Egyptian mythology to Feng Shui, it all finds its roots through
Yeah.
stories told through world history and religion. To give an example, someone like Jesus in the Index universe would have been a magic user.
Yeah, because church, magic, mythology, bullshit lore, right? There's no logical reasoning. It's just random lore, mythology, bullshit, buzzwords, and magic.
However, to me, the standout power system comes from the science side of things, and that's what I want to focus on, because what makes this stand out so much is how grounded every ability is in real-world science and physics, which, you know, is something I appreciated heavily as someone who went to university to get a master's in electronic and electrical engineering.
Really? I mean, this is a fake fucking degree. It's a Senate of Weeaboo Academy. I thought Gigguk studied like something in media literacy to pursue that role in like, you know, BBC. Did you really? This looks like some shit that Kirito would do. You really have this? You're lying to me, right?
Time to flex this, but I paid tens of thousands of pounds for this piece of paper only to become a YouTuber, so let me have this. Let's take me
I feel the same way. Did you hear what Gigguk said there?
engineering.
Listen, listen.
I know this is a weird time to flex this, but I paid tens of thousands of pounds for this piece of paper only to become a YouTuber, so let me have this. Let's take me
I too spent over $60,000 to get a fucking piece of shit paper degree, Bachelor of Science at UBC, so that I could fucking drop out of my fucking day job and watch anime and be a YouTuber. If I could just go back in time, I'd tell myself, listen, you need to fucking drop out of college right now. Fuck high school too. drop out right now. Watch anime on YouTube. Start a YouTube channel. Bro, if I could tell myself that, you know what my past self will say? You're fucking crazy. I'd never believe you. There's no way. Of course, in hindsight, it makes sense. You think it makes sense to tell a fucking young kid? It's like, hey, you know all your future goals, dreams, and aspirations for a stable job and career? Abandon that. Be a YouTuber. What? You're crazy!
Saka, for example. In concept, her ability is pretty simple. She can control electricity. Nothing new here in the world of anime powers, but it's not so much the ability itself, but more so the logic behind its application.
Railgun.
At the simplest level, she can shock
like magnetism, fucking shooting the coin, going super fast, a railgun.
People, but thanks to my masters in electronic and electrical engineering.
Do I still use any of that experiences from the job you knew today? See, learning that the mitochondria is a powerhouse of the cell is something you don't give a fuck about, nor will you ever use in your fucking life. But here's the thing, the skills that you actually do learn from university that translates to real life. It's soft skills. It's all about soft skills, not hard technological skills. It's about learning how to cooperate in a group environment with people you don't really like, but understanding how to manage those people and deliver results. Those kind of behaviors is so important for the development of a child, in my opinion. Nothing matters more in school than a kid that knows how to be compelling, how to reason and get along with other people, to know the other side's incentives, the mutual benefits, and then to use them as literal fucking tools. Like, I don't know, Koji, no, it's not that edgy, but getting along. Understanding how to get along with other people and deliver results is one of the most fucking important things, if not the most important things in just like adapting to society. That shit actually matters, but let's get real. Do you need to spend thousands of tens of thousands of dollars to fucking understand that? No, you don't.
I know that electricity has more applications than just this, and so does she. Because if she can generate an electric current, that means she can generate a magnetic force. Something you'd know if you learned the right-hand rule, which is what I did in my Masters in Electronic and Electrical... Okay,
I remember that.
Thanks to being able to create a magnetic force, she can stick to metallic objects, control debris, manipulate iron sands, and vibrate it at a fast enough frequency to make it a buzzsaw. Let's go even further. What else can you do with a combination of magnetic and electrical force? Well, you get something called a Lorentz force, and what can you do with a Lorentz force?
This is such a cool thing, dude. I'm like, what the hell is Railgun about? Railgun. And I'm like, I saw her flip a coin in the opening, and I'm like, oh, that's a railgun.
Well, you can make a fucking railgun, which is a real-life weapon our modern military has been developing, and if you couldn't guess, that's why the series is called Railgun. The theory adds so many layers to someone's ability, and thus your combat strength doesn't necessarily come from raw power.
Railgun just looks so funny because in the opening, as well as the clips that we're seeing from Gigguk's video, it just seems like a hag is like 1v5ing all the little children girls. It's Misaka and the gang versus this hag. And it looks so funny. And she like steps on Misaka too and like kicks her in the mobile game opening.
But it's also your understanding of science and physics and how best to apply your ability. And this is something I found incredibly original and made the science fights that much more interesting. But I think the one character that really encapsulates just how—
Accelerator, bro. We haven't even met him in the anime yet, right? I'm again on episode 4 season 1. All I know about Accelerator is from the opening, and the opening makes him look like the real main character.
Innovative these abilities can be while still grounding it in real world physics, it's Accelerator, who has one of the most unique abilities I've seen in all of anime, and no, it's not his ability to laugh like a beatboxing hyena. Accelerator's ability is vector.
Should we... I'm gonna skip this part. I don't want to know really about Accelerator. I'm gonna just skip.
Powerful thrown at him.
Yeah, skip.
Tapping his foot on—
What the fuck is this math? That's great. They're getting really sweaty with the Accelerator math. Fucking skill science through.
A vector component.
Yeah, vectors, sure. Fucking direction with the, like a vector is basically a speed with the direction component attached to it, right? Skip.
Light flow. He can
skip.
Thinking such an ability.
Skip.
Around this ability.
Skip.
And get this, mathematical—
Skip.
His kryptonite is—
Skip.
How to do it in real time. This is exactly Accelerator's limitation.
Perfect.
He has an onboard—
Skip.
Accelerator's every—
Skip.
that extra layer to every fight scene, which is something I found totally unique. Alright, how many people have I lost with that last section?
Skip. All right, here we go.
There is one thing I've glossed over to focus on the positives and appeal of this franchise.
The negatives, huh? Season 3 adaptation. That's what the downside is, right?
And that is just how goddamn hard it tries to put new people off from getting into it. Remember when I said I was put off by how generic and boring the beginning arc seemed to be? Well, that still holds.
I don't actually feel that way, but I am also not the average consumer. When I watched the first couple episodes of Index, I was immediately hooked and loved the world. Something about this charming feel of a 2008 anime. You know, fucking Index showing up on the veranda, us just eating stupid food, and her going and having these slice of moments. Something about the overall setup made me like feel like I'm back in the good old days. Maybe it's a bit of a boomer take, but like watching the first couple episodes was like, oh, this is comforting. It feels like I'm watching a very old anime, and it is. It's a 2008 anime, but I love the whole setup, the environment, the setting, and as well as the way that they slowly introduce you to the story of thinking, oh, there's a magic cabal after Index. Uh-oh, but psych, actually, that's kind of fake because the bad people are actually the good people, and the memory loss, blah, 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 and it just keeps getting better and better. Like it's like an onion layer. As you peel back the layers of the onion, it just keeps getting more better and more better.
It's true and can still definitely be applied to a lot of the early arcs in Index. The franchise came at a time when trashy harem bait.
Trashy harem bait. Poor Asuna. Asuna did nothing wrong. How could you shit on my waifu and my favorite show, Sword Art Online?
High school fantasy light novel adaptations.
Oh, come on. Akashic Records. This is a pretty decent anime. I enjoyed this. It was only one season, right? But I did enjoy how Glenn was such a different character than most.
Hadn't already oversaturated the industry. And going back through it now, it has really not aged well. Early Index embodies almost all of the overused tropes, character archetypes, and cliches we have gotten bored of since this initial release, and it ends up coming across as a run-of-the-mill shonen action show. Considering how much of it revolves around Toma, he's just not a very interesting character and only gets development further down in the light novel. Not only that, but his ability to cancel out other abilities is just so fucking boring compared to—
It's pretty fucking bullshit, right? I mean, now there's some limitations, right? The fight against Staira told us that, like, it's not just that easy. If there's runes as the source of the power of the flame and spirit things, then you can't just cancel out the spirit until you take out the runes. And then there's Kanzaki, right? With the sword and Toma's power, you're now seeing limitations because you can't just fucking cancel out a sword.
Everything else I've talked about in the franchise's power systems. It's not bad per se, it's just extremely generic, and this is what makes it a really hard sell. I would like to say that you could
say that because it's generic, that's why it's such a good sell to a lot of people who have now loved this show like a cult favorite fandom, you know? I think sometimes being generic does help. For the super seasoned connoisseur of anime, right? Being generic might turn you off because you're like, yep, seen this, don't care, move on. But I think being generic definitely does appeal to a wider audience.
Easily power through it and quickly get to the—
Also 2004, right? I mean, we're comparing a 2004 series compared to some— I know this shit came out 5 years ago, right? Who knows how much change has been. I mean, 2004 to 2019, that's quite a significant time. But I don't mind the genericness. I never care if something is generic. And I've noticed with Gigguk, especially on his tier list at the end of a season, he has a heavier emphasis on what's rated high. And what's rated high is things that are not generic, things that are unique, conceptually trying something different. That is a huge component on if an anime is good or not to Gigguk. And I would understand because this is his fucking job doing this for multiple decades, you know? For me, generic doesn't mean bad. And complex or uniqueness doesn't automatically mean good. I care about the execution of the plot. If it's something generic, like Wistoria, Wand and Swords, right? Super simple, basic, generic story. But the execution of it, that's all I care about. Just because something's a trope or a cliche doesn't mean it's bad. It exists as a trope or a cliche because it's proven itself to be good. It's something that people really fucking love. And while the initial setup and Toma's powers, it may seem generic, it's all about the execution, and I am enjoying it.
the good stuff, and while there are definitely some highs I'm going to touch upon, there is a lot of bullshit to wade through. Entire seasons worth of episodes, mind you, which in today's standard of short, hard-hitting 12-episode anime series is probably going to put off about 90% of you. But this is exactly why there's no such thing as a casual fan of the franchise. Only those who've been...
It's hardcore filtered out too, yeah. It's just super hardcore fans. All the tourists haven't filtered out.
Willing to trudge through all the mediocrity are rewarded with everything the world can offer, and if you're willing to do that, that probably means these...
I think that I'm gonna watch, or I don't know. I think that I'm gonna read the Index Wiki. I think that I should read the Toru Wiki in a way that doesn't spoil me of the future plot, so that I understand more of the show when I'm watching, so I can actually... The reactions will be more better. The more you understand, the better the commentary and the content can be.
Elements I've talked about are something that appeal very...
But light novel summaries is gonna spoil me though. I need to click onto the wiki and look for different terms of what exactly is magic? What is science, right? What does it mean to be in Church of the Evil and stuff like that kind of stuff. But I don't think I should be reading the light novel. I need to understand the different buzzwords, all the different shit that's going on, and terminologies for me to keep up with the show.
Strongly to you, as was the case for me. The good thing to know is that while Index Season 1 was mostly world building and Season 2 was a lot of build up to a climax that was only just teased at by the end, those who have stuck with it are finally getting to see a lot of the payoff that is being adapted in Season 3.
How's the payoff, guys? Yeah, all that build up, bro. All that setup, build up. Season 3 should be insane, right?
It's airing right now. And if you continue reading the light novel, it only gets better, and there's so much of it to lose yourself in. Plus, with a new season of Railgun and Accelerator just being announced, there is no better time to get into this franchise. So, after all this, there is one question left.
Yeah?
How do you get into Index?
Release order.
Do you want the long version or the short version? Index Season 1, then Railgun S,
and then Season 2. Yeah.
That's
I think what we're gonna do. I think that this is the optimal way to enjoy the show. And in terms of YouTube analytics, right? You guys only give a fuck about Railgun or Accelerator, so giving you this early on I think is a good idea too.
The short version. However, that's a lot of episodes and a big commitment if you're still on the fence, and quite frankly, if I had attempted that, I would have never gotten past the first season of Index. So I wanted to share this streamlined method I used that made me decide whether I wanted to fully dive into the franchise. Now, I consumed it across different mediums, so if you don't want to do that, I will put the corresponding anime episodes, manga, or light novel volumes on screen if you just want to stick to one. This is Gigguk's Guide to Speedrunning Index. I started off by reading the first...
But you shouldn't speedrun. You should enjoy it and milk it for all it's got and just savor it, man.
First Index arc via volume 1 of the Index light novel. Then I read the first arc in Railgun via volumes 1 to...
This is crazy. Wait a minute. Hold up. So we should do this, guys. Gigguk's order. Look at this shit. Come on. Move it. So 2 more episodes, then we hop to a Railgun. two more episodes, then we hop to Railgun, bro. Episodes 1 to 6, Index Season 1, and then we go into Railgun immediately. 1 to 14, baby. Yeah.
I read the first arc in Railgun via volumes 1 to 3 of the Railgun manga. Then I watched the anime.
And then we go to Railgun 1 to 16, okay?
Railgun S, which is basically what sold me on the franchise. I managed to achieve this in a day, so it didn't take too much time, and the reason I chose to do this was I could quickly get an introduction to the magic world and also the science world while being able to quickly go to one of the early highlights that not...
In a day, though? That's crazy, bro. You're consuming like 30 plus episodes of anime in one day. There's no way you're actually understanding everything. There's no way you're genuinely appreciating the story for everything it has. Because this is a guide on speedrunning.
Only ties in a lot of the main protagonists, but is also a great fucking standalone story in its own right, in its best adaptation in Railgun S. Like I said, you can get into the franchise however you want. This is just my method because I'm an impatient prick. Also, this might be a good time to mention that all the light novels...
Yeah, he's trying to speedrun this. There's different goals here, right? I think we were going to go with the release order. That's what we're going to do. I want to appreciate this show for all it's got. and truly savor every episode.
The manga are available via Bookwalker if you want to try this method out. Hashtag coupon code Gigguk for $5 off. This is no doubt a very daunting and quite frankly hard franchise to get into, and will definitely not be for everyone. But getting into this franchise, its world and characters has given me a completely unique experience in the 15 or so years I've been an anime fan. And that is not an easy feat to do anymore. If this seems like something way too heavy to get into, that's completely understandable. If you just want something more quick and casual, there are many other shows you can get into.
Quick and casual? Pussies? Why don't you fucking dive deep and check out Index?
But if the specific aspects I just talked about sound exactly like something you would appreciate and you just want to lose yourself in a franchise, fucking do it, man. Become one of us. Because I can see why this franchise joins the ranks of things like JoJo's, Monogatari, and Fate for having this really dedicated fan base that never shuts up about it. Because there really is nothing else like it. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed me essentially just gushing over Index for almost 20 minutes. I do want to give a quick shout.
And I hope you guys have enjoyed me gushing over Index for 40 minutes. Please give Gigguk a like. I think that this video is obviously going to be uploaded before we even release the episode 1. So those will be coming on YouTube. Don't worry. If you want to check it out early, come see us on Twitch. Here's a link for Gigguk's video. Please give it a like. Sub to the channel if you haven't. But check us out on Twitch, on Patreon if you're impatient and want to get the early access for free, okay?